I've been talking a lot about all the things that I had in storage here at the hostel, my bike and camping equipment, and and camera equipment, and I was very curious about the condition that everything was in, mainly my bicycle and camera lenses. But there was one other thing I was concerned about, and that is my tent, because, you know, poor timing, I suppose, but just before I went to Myanmar and then the pandemic came and the borders closed, I had bought a new tent to replace my old tent. So I bought a really nice tent, and I never got to use it, not even one time. And I put it into storage, and it's been in storage for, 3 years. And tents are very fragile, especially modern tents. And if you don't pack them away properly, and over time, they just degrade. And to be honest, I assumed the tent would be unusable by the time I got back here. But to my surprise, it seems relatively okay. There are a couple of problems with it, and I'll show you in a minute what I'm talking about. I'm just gonna take my tent out of my room, and I want to set it up here just so I can look it over carefully and just kind of like remember how do you set up this tent? You know, as I said, I've never gone camping with it, not even once. I bought it and then I set it up and tested it out, but I've never taken it on a bike trip. So yeah, it's an old tent to me, 3 years old, but it's also kind of brand new because it feels like I just bought it, never got to use it. Let me go get the bits and pieces. So here are all the bits and pieces, and in case you don't know, the key to storing a tent, because every tent comes in a stuff sack designed for you to put the tent into a very small container and put it in your backpack or on your bicycle and carry it with you. But if you store it inside the stuff sack for any length of time, it will just be destroyed. So you pretty much have to hang it up. That's the best. If you can just hang it from the ceiling in a cool, dry place, that's the best. Failing that, if you have to put it in a container, you just sort of put it in very loosely. You just take it out and just sort of put all the pieces away very loosely. Because if it's tight, then terrible things happen. But apparently, I did it okay this time, and things kind of worked out. So the tent this is the brand and model. It's an MSR Hubba Hubba NX2. I don't know if they've replaced it. I mean, maybe there's an NX, maybe there's a new version of the Hubba Hubba, because this is the Hubba Hubba NX, and the 2 means it's a 2-person tent. The 1 person is much, much smaller and lighter, but I find for one person like me, a 1-person tent is way too small. So it's a 2-person tent, but I bought it just for me, and I need that much space. But yeah, it's a premium tent. It's known as kind of an ultra light tent, that it's very, very lightweight, made out of durable but lightweight materials. And normally what happens when you store something like this for a long time, the waterproof coating on the material degrades. It delaminates, and in the worst situations, your entire tent just turns into goo. Like when you pull it out, it'll just all be stuck together. It basically, all the waterproof coatings and the waterproof tape, everything will have just turned into liquid, and it's just stuck together and it's completely destroyed. And this is the bag for the tent poles, and I can feel it on the outside of this. It's like really sticky. It just like feels really uncomfortable against your skin. So I can feel that this bag has kind of degraded over time. But the tent body and the fly, they both feel okay. They're dry and smooth and they're not sticky. Whether it's fully waterproof, that's another story altogether. You just won't know until you're out in a storm, you know. But yeah, I'm gonna have to, I hate bags when they feel like this. This has to be replaced. So that's one problem. Actually, I was pretty pleased to find out that the stuff sack it actually feels good. It's dry and smooth. It's not sticky, so the stuff sack is in good condition and still workable. In these modern tent pole systems, I was just watching a video about setting this tent up, and I didn't even know this, but the guy was saying, you know, the tent pole is specially designed with these 2 hubs. It's like 3-point hubs, and the poles go into these hubs, and because there's 2 of them, that's where the name came from. It is a Hubba Hubba, based on these hubs. I don't know if I believe that or not, but maybe. But the way these are supposed to use, I mean, I'm sure you've all seen tents before, they have an elastic band inside the poles. And then as you unwrap this, the elastic band is designed in a way that it pulls all the pieces together. Like they actually just snap, snap, snap into position. But over 3 years, this elastic band has been stretched in a stretched shape. It has no elasticity left. At least it didn't feel like it. Now it feels like there's a little bit of elasticity left. Maybe it'll come back. But basically this elastic, I think, has to be replaced, really. But you don't absolutely need that elastic for the tent to work. It's just a convenient way to keep all your poles together and to click them together quickly. So that's one thing that wore out on the tent, is this, you know, these internal elastics. But who knows? Maybe it'll retain some of its elasticity. Oh, and there is one more part to this tent, like a ground sheet. So I do have that as well, but I'm not going to bother with that because I'm not outside. So let's see if I can remember. Well, I don't even have to remember. As I said, I've never done it myself. I've never gone camping with this tent. I just have to figure out how you put it together. It's pretty simple, to be honest. Shouldn't be a big challenge. Just pull it away to get it all in the frame. And yeah, this material, the floor, the walls, the mosquito netting, it all feels okay. And normally you would take 4 pegs and then you'd peg down each corner if you're outside. That's the first thing you would do, but I don't need to do that. I can't do that because I'm inside. You just lay out your tent, and then you assemble your tent pole. As I said, normally it almost assembles itself. All you have to do is basically do this, and it will just click into position. But because this elastic is so weak, it's probably not, I'm going to have to help it along. But that wasn't so bad. So that's one side. Oh yeah, this one so stretched. And this is the cross beam that goes across, yeah, the top of the tent. So that clicks together. And then you just continue along. Now that was one hubba. Now we've got the other hub, so Hubba Hubba. Oh, look at that. There's like no, the elastic isn't even being pulled back inside. So yeah, this all needs to be replaced. I don't know if there's a place I can do that here in Kuala Lumpur. So that's the pole assembled. I found a cheat actually, which is kind of interesting, where it actually, I didn't realize it, but the elastic comes in separate pieces. I thought it was all one long elastic, but this piece down at the end only connects these 2 end pieces. So I could pull it up from the middle and kind of suck the poles together. But anyway, now that this is together, should be relatively straightforward. That clips into there. Find the other corner. clips into there. And this would be easier if it was pegged down. So this might be a bit of a challenge. So because it's not pegged down, I kind of have to step on one end of the tent. Clip that side in, and then clip this side in. And that is the basic shape of the tent. And according to the instructions, you attach the cross pole next. So that clips into there. But because of this elastic problem, everything keeps falling apart. But once the tent is assembled, then it should be okay. So that's that, and then all the little clips just clip over the poles. And there you have it, a Hubba Hubba tent. In the video I was watching this morning about setting up this tent, talked about how lightweight it is, and that's why you have to peg down the corners first, because once you get to this point, and if you put it on the ground, you're out near a cliff or on a beach or something, and the wind will just pick it up and just blow it into the air, and you'll lose the whole tent. So you want, yeah, it's like a kite right now. Like if a wind caught that, it would just disappear. You know, if it blows into the ocean or over the cliff, you'll never get it back. When I bought this tent, you know, there were lots of reasons for it. You know, there's a lot of things to think about in what tent is suitable for you. But there's so many good things about this tent. One thing is that it has 2 doors. So there's a door on this side, and there's an identical door on this side. So no matter where you're sleeping, you can always have a door beside you, you know, to go in and out. Or you sleep on one side, and you have all your gear on the other side. So I can go in that door to lie down to sleep, but from outside the tent, I can open this side and get at all the gear. Or of course, if you have 2 people sleeping side by side, you know, one uses this door and the other person uses that door. So yeah, 2 doors. But no, I'm pretty pleased actually. This looks to be in pretty good condition. I'm surprised. Huh. And this tent has a nice geometry overall, just the way it was designed. It has quite vertical walls, which is good for me because when you're inside the tent, you have a lot of headroom. Like tents that just come to a peak, quite often the sides come in at a sharp angle, and then it might be high in the middle, but on the edges, it's actually, you know, the ceiling comes in like an A-frame, and then you can sit in the middle of the tent, but on the sides, you know, you've got this low wall. But this one is designed to kind of maximize the shape, have it bulge outwards and have nice vertical walls, you know, it works out well. More tricky, to be honest, is the fly, because these tent flies have such an irregular shape sometimes. It can be quite confusing to figure out how they go on, because this part of the tent is not waterproof at all. You know, it has all this mesh So you can lie there, you can see the stars. You get a lot of breeze, you know, going through the mesh to keep it nice and cool inside the tent. But if it rains, of course, you get soaking wet. And if it's going to rain, that's why you need to put on the fly. And I think this fly is not so complicated because this tent is symmetrical. It doesn't really matter, I don't think, which way you put this on because it has a, you know, rectangular shape. So it's not like there's no front and back, you know, so I could put it on this way. If I had it spun around, I think it goes on in the same way. You know. So there's the basic shape of the fly. There's a hook on the inside that it clips onto the crossbeam. And there's also a hook over here that it clips into. And once you have it kind of draped over the tent like that, properly in position, you just go around to the corners and look for these straps, and they click into the tent poles as well. And then you just attach every corner, and it has little straps there, of course, to make them shorter or longer. Then you have all these straps here that buckles. You can pull them down, you know, tighten it up if it needs to. And that's basically the fly. There's one more step. If you're outside, of course, this pulls out to the front, and you have to peg this to the ground, and this becomes your door, the vestibule. So you can put a lot of your gear in here, you know, underneath the vestibule to keep it dry, you know, if it rains. And there you have it. The tent that maybe survived 3 years in storage. This feels okay. You know, this is supposed to be waterproof, though this material is never fully waterproof. It's not like a plastic bag that you can pour water into and hold it. It's designed to be waterproof just enough that when water hits it, it will roll down. But I mean, if water pools on it, it will go through. It will start dripping through. So the tent has to be pulled rigid and tight, like kind of on this side here. You can see it's got a steep drop off. And when you pull the tent tight, then when water hits it, it just runs off, and then it stays waterproof. The bigger problem might be along the seams, because the seams are not waterproof. And what they do is they put waterproof tape on the inside. And that tape really suffers over time. So this whole, all the seams, the tape probably isn't waterproof anymore. And that really should be re-taped, I think. Or the whole fly replaced, perhaps. You know, quite often that's the cheaper thing to do these days. Like repairs to something like this can be very expensive. And for MSR, you know, they'd probably say, no, we'll just ship you a new one. Just to replace it, because that's often the cheaper thing to do. Repairs are just too expensive and too difficult. So, and if you are out camping, of course, with this pegged down, I mean, what you would probably do unzip the door, and then this whole thing, once you unzip it to the top, you just sort of roll this up, tuck it away over here. Got a little strap to hold that out of the way, you know, gives you access to the door. And there you go. Your home awaits. And here's the interior of this tent. What's going on over here? Yeah, this stuff that's flaking, that's from the tape, you know, the waterproof tape here. So that's not looking good, to be honest. In this corner, it feels sticky. Yeah, over there you can see some of the waterproof tape is falling off. So yeah, it's not a good sign. The corners are all kind of flaking. Yeah, every one. So that would all probably have to be replaced, if it can be replaced. So that's not a good sign. Yeah, tents are very delicate. They don't last over time if you don't use them. We'll see. We'll see. And that's it, I guess. A little demo of the tent that maybe survived 3 years in storage, but it's unlikely. Yeah, we'll see if it's actually usable in the condition that it's in.